Android, or iPhone. Download the Radio Cayman app now on your Android or iOS phone.
The Radio Cayman app
is where you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere you go.
Everywhere we go, we go. Everywhere we go, we go.
Find it in the Google Store, the Apple Store, or use the link at www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Yes, now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331.
Talk Today is proudly brought to you by Pirates Fest 2022. Stay in the know. Get the full event lineup at piratesfestcayman.com.
And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village. Convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne EBANKS.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. It's another fantastic Friday, and I'm hoping that you're out and about and have a chance head into town and be a part of, Georgetown as they celebrate their district day. A lot of good things happening as part of the Pirates Fest. We'll have some open line, so we'll get a chance to share with you, and hopefully, together we can solve the world's problems. Well, at least just for today, anyway. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And I'm hoping that your day is going, what a friend used to say, swimmingly. I'm not quite sure how to translate that, so maybe you can help me. But I'm hoping it's a safe, very, very serene weekend that you have planned, and that it'll be wonderful. 8949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. You can WhatsApp 925-3261. Our excellent team, two of our colleagues, Miss Anita and Ray, are out and about. We got to be a part of the turtle release. We also have a chance to, be in town. Man, it's going to be a great day. Mr. Paul, I might pull it on you at some point if you want to weigh in. I'm thinking the only thing good, would be better if we were out there now enjoying some of the food.
Yeah, I could do it some lunch right now.
You want me to see if I can call a friend? You can get something delivered. What do you feel like?
I don't know, maybe some Cayman style beef today,
Some beef? Yeah. What with some turtle?
Nah.
No? Some conch?
Yeah, the conch. Yeah, the conch.
Cassava cake, maybe?
Yeah, a piece of that too,
Yeah. Hey, we got some friends over in the New Glass House, They might be venturing across, They got a famous last name. They might find something for us, You want me to ask them? Hey, you want some good food, if you can't make it down to the sea and at least make it out into the center of the town, and you can find it the same way. And it's good to see not just the parliamentarians, as elected members or serving members of the cabinet and tourism minister. We had a chance earlier. I think Minister Fox, you were sharing. Maybe a good way to start off and hopefully get us into the weekend and be a part of the festivities. So what do we have queued up first to share with us? A little voice note from the Honourable Tourism Minister.
Sterling, thank you so much for letting me cut in to talk today. I'm here with no stranger to our airways, the Honorable Minister for Tourism and Transport, Mr. Kenneth Bryan. Mr. Kenneth, how are you today?
I am perfect. I'm happy. I'm happy as I can ever be, right where I want to be all the time around my people in Georgetown. So I'm a very happy man this morning.
I was going to say, they let you out of the office today to come out and play with us.
Yeah, well, they didn't want to let me out, but I burst through the doors, ran down the stairs, and I got down here as soon as I could.
Was security chasing you on the way out?
They were, but I was a little bit faster.
So, Mr. Kenneth, Georgetown Heritage Days, they're back again. You're mentioning the need and desire for a more concrete location for the Heritage Days. Tell our listeners about that.
Yeah, well, as you guys know, an area that was really important to me was the Georgetown Central Scranton Park. And I'm happy to say that my colleagues have been supporting me with acquiring property to increase the size footprint for that location. And I'm constantly looking at ways to manage the traffic flow in and out as we're designing the location. And I think based on what we've come up with so far, it looks like it's going to be a perfect location for something like this. You know that downtown here presents some problems in respect to traffic. I feel so bad for so many people this morning who was going into work that had to deal with the traffic because of the road closures. And maybe that may be the solution. You also know we're doing the waterfront project, and that we can have different events in different places that doesn't cause this problem. But ultimately, the Central Scranton Park is going to be something that we can do loads of different types of events, and I can foresee that being the location for something like this because it'll have the square footage needed. And that's where many of the Georgetown cooks come from, is the heart of Central. So I'm happy and proud of that, and hopefully we can have some better announcements in the new year.
Thank you so much. And as far as Pirates Fest as a whole, is it a month-long initiative? Initially started back in the day as a tourism kind of staple to help drive tourism. How has it been so far this month? We're 3 weeks into it. One more big weekend to go next weekend in the BRAC. Overall, your taste on it so far?
I think that, it gives us something else to look at rather than just a 1 week approach. So I know the minister responsible, the Honorable Bernie Bush, will be looking for feedback from the public to ask them how did they like it. It's obviously different than what it was before, and to see if we're going to stay with that model. There's obviously pros and cons to each one, and once we get the people's feedback, we'll follow that. So it's about the first time back from a shutdown for COVID for a while. So we're going to have little bumps here and there, regardless whether we did it 1 week or for the 3 months like the Pirates Week Fest that it's transformed into. So I think that we'll definitely take an analysis of all the pros and cons of it now and make sure we continue to improve it as we always do.
Thank you. And most important question, which was your most important speech, is the food today. We asked the kids earlier what they were getting for lunch. Yourself, what's your favorite today?
Okay, my favorite today is the stew kung, the stew turtle, the shrimp, the lobsters, the cassava cake, some kung school, some escovitch fish. What else do I want to get? I'm going to get a little bit of everything. I'm so serious about this. I'm sure to gain 10 to 15 pounds before I leave here. And if I can't eat all of it, I'm going to carry it home because the food is so amazing. So I encourage everybody else to come get it before it's all out.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you so much.
And that was Raymond Singh speaking to the Honorable Tourism Minister. And I think by extension, the invitation is to head on down into the center of town and be a part of the festivities, not just as the Honorable Minister shared and reminded, hey, come get the food. I feel for him, He's thinking, he's one of the times like this that you wish you were more like the bovine, sort of, some would say food source, others would say, extension of, Molly the moving monster. But maybe you only have one stomach and you can do what the minister says, moderate, take a little bit now and enjoy it throughout the weekend. But food is as good as it is. It's going to be a challenge to just pick a favorite. Well, I think there's a container with my name on it, Paul. What do you think? All right, let's have some open lines. We can talk about anything. It's something we wanted to kind of ask of, but not necessarily just yet unless you wish to. We gathered that motorists coming in from the east sometime early this morning may have encountered an experience that they may wish to relay, but we leave that to be. We know that we've been referencing as a result of your constant commentary about the crime and how it's been addressed. I think we probably at times maybe unfairly put a lot of heightened on expectations on our police And maybe it's time as a community we figure out how we can be better partners. We should not, and I don't think we can overstate this. There can be no perhaps greater emphasis on the need to ensure that we should not allow ourselves to become complacent and take for granted the safety and security and stability that we have in our society, the increasing threats to our person, the notion that as an individual, whether you're out exercising or just a casual walk to clear the air, whether you're sitting on the beach somewhere near the water, preferably, and watching the sun set or even rise, or maybe it's late into the evening and you're waiting for the moon to come up. Very, very beautiful, wonderful, ways to pass the time. It doesn't have to be a romantic interlude. It could just be an evening out with the family, because the heavens are so wonderful, lit with the stars, and there may be some planetary display that you want to see. You should be able to do that safely in your comfort of your backyard or your home, sitting on the cafe somewhere, walking through the streets of your neighborhood, leaving work late because you procrastinated or there's a pressing deadline. You shouldn't have to feel like you need to be escorted. Now, safe and as sensible as that may be, you should be able to know that you live in a society where the person is safe, because those behaviors are not only heavily punished and discouraged, but it's not one that a society will expect nor accept. We'll pause and take a break. We would like you to give us a shout and share a thought with us. Give you a couple of options, 949-8837, or you can call the Flow toll-free line at 1-800-534-8255. Please send us a WhatsApp, 925-3261. As one that came through, we'll have a read, a slight exchange with the sender, and perhaps share with you. The comment being that as people, we don't really treat each other fairly. Hopefully the listener will expound on that and we can talk about it. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Savannah Pharmacy saved my life.
Really? Was it the medication they got you?
No, not this time. I forgot my wife's birthday. They were the perfect place for last-minute shopping.
That's one way to give yourself heart failure. Don't wait last minute for Christmas. Savannah Pharmacy is stocked up for Christmas right now. Gifts for men, women, and children. Home decor, clothes, toys for all ages, fragrances, candles, handbags, and so much more. I was there the other day, and trust me, they'll even wrap all your presents too.
Savannah Pharmacy, a lifesaver in more ways than one.
Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village provides you with more than just prescriptions. Always just around the corner with everything your family needs for this holiday season. WhatsApp your prescription refills to 929-5045.
Switch from slow to the fastest, most reliable network to get this exclusive Digicel Christmas offer. It costs $0 to switch. It's free and you keep your number. That's not all. Switch today and enjoy 50% off your bill for the next 3 months. Stay on any Christmas plan to get 10 gigabytes of any use data every month for a year on us. That's 10 gigs for TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and more. Hurry in store and make the switch today with this limited time Christmas offer. It's the Christmas that keeps on giving. Digicel, Merry Christmas!
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go, Urban Cleaners.
Now is the time, and we're ready to help you with your household cleaning needs. And that is bedspreads, comforters, duvets, duvet covers, drapes, and so much more. All items at 7% off prepay, and turnaround time will be 2 to 3 days. Orders can be handled at all 2 stores, Savannah Countryside and Eastern Avenue, drive-through, rain or shine. All stores close at 5:30 p.m. Mondays to Saturdays. Call 949-7104. That's 949-7104. Puritan Cleaners. You feel good when you look good.
This Friday, November the 18th, the Pirates festivities continue with the turtle release at Governor's Beach at 10 a.m. and the Pirates Fest 5K run walk from Seafarers starting at 5:30 p.m. As part of the Heritage Day series brought to you by the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture, and Heritage. Take in the Georgetown from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. on Cardinal Avenue. Celebrate your Georgetown heritage, local food, performances, and more. Friday, November the 18th from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. on Cardinal Avenue.
A month of Sundays means a very long time. What is a week of Black Fridays? It is 8 days of super savings at A.L. Thompson's beginning Friday, November 18th at 6 a.m. During Black Friday week, you can take advantage of deep discounts on electronics, appliances, home decor, and tools. We invite you to review 8 pages of products in the Black Friday week flyer on althompson.com and to shop at your convenience at A.L. Thompson's, Georgetown.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. It is open line as we invite you to call and share your thoughts with us. We heard the Honorable Tourism Minister sending out not just greetings to the Georgetown constituents, but by extension to all, and an invitation to be a part of the Heritage Day. Not just to come and partake of the food, but it is lunchtime for some of us, so that's probably not a bad idea. And with that, we had a request. Perhaps you may either, our preference would be that you can call, but B, you can send it through on our WhatsApp and we can share it. Recognizing that a lot of food is going to be shared and served, and many times, not just during the Pirates Fest activities, but going into Christmas and the like, we are going to enjoy much, hopefully, of the wonderful fare that is the Caymanian culinary cuisine. And would you be able to share with us not just your favorite recipes, but how some of the things are being prepared? The Honorable Minister talked about some beef, and we qualify it by saying Cayman style beef. Now, beef served in Cayman, well, is it, and how is it done? Well, the Cayman style beef. We're seeing increasingly changes to preparation and not just licensed with the recipes, but how is Cayman style beef prepared? Very much akin to when we go and you get Cayman style fish, and for some of us, what is being served would really, to say is offensive, be put in nicely. It's not that there's an interpretation or representation, it's just an actual misunderstanding. But food that is prepared lovingly and served willingly is always to be enjoyed. So if you share with us, how is the beef prepared? Not just seasoned, but how is it actually prepared and presented? Well, let us know. 949-8837, 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. It's similar to the conch. It's interesting that for many of us, we are willing to, because of what we see as convenience and time-saving measures, perhaps don't do it the way our parents and grandparents did. If he doesn't mind, he shared a good meal with us not that long ago, but for every reason, the felt like it was too long ago and should be more often. My good friend Obi, you've had him in the studio with us from time to time, sharing his passion for championing the culture, preserving and promoting our heritage, and being that stalwart for our environment. Well, he hucks the coconut and did everything from scratch. Let's go to the phone. Huh? Welcome, good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you and your listeners today?
Well, I'm praying that they, like me, not only are healthy, are thankful, and in the midst of all that may be daunting, we're still trying to find, that silver lining. And more importantly, we have people who are around us who are prayerful, but also who are very, very positive and willing to lend a helping hand, not just lip service. So I trust that you are well.
Well, I am well, thanks. I am prayerful, I am positive, but I doubt that I can provide you the silver lining. But let's see what you think of what I have to say.
Go right ahead, man. I shall pay attention.
Thank you. Dwayne, as everybody knows, your listeners always know, that to have a fair justice system is very important. Cayman, like any other system, struggles to ensure that there's greater justice for a lot of people. I'm trying to work at the moment with a team of Caymanian people, where we're trying to see if we can make some positive recommendations about the way certain things are done in the judiciary. Unfortunately, some of these we are trying to push by way also of FOIs and appeal, but I'll come to that in a moment. But basically, the first thing that we're trying to do is this. There is no legal obligation in any court in Cayman that they should record either by video or by audio the proceedings in court.
Okay.
Now, that has changed a little bit since COVID, because we were forced then to do hearings online. Some of the hearings I had, including one I had only last month, was online. So almost by necessity, they are recorded or have to be recorded. Although sometimes what they say is, well, even if we have it on Zoom, we don't always record it, and so forth. So what we are trying to do is try to recommend that there should be a legal obligation to record videos and audios, and people should have access to them. Now, I have suffered a little bit from this, because there's an audio I want from 2019. They are telling me that it was on Zoom, but it wasn't recorded. Now, I think they are lying, but that's another issue I'm fighting in another forum. I have somebody else whose confidence I have to, whose confidentiality I have to respect, who has got a similar problem, because they say they went to court, and what the judge wrote in the judgment, they said, no, that's not what happened. So they have also asked for an audio. They say, well, but the audio doesn't exist. So they reached out to me, what can I do about this? I said, well, no, we are trying to work on this reform, but it hasn't happened yet. But that's what we are trying to do. But meanwhile, because I have an active case going on, I lost the case in the Court of Appeal, so now I'm appealing it to the Privy Council. What I have done is I asked for a Freedom of Information request to have these audios produced. It was denied. I appealed for review. It was denied, so now it is with the Ombudsman. So for those people who are interested in the subject matter, there is an appeal before the Ombudsman where I'm trying to say basically that even without the existence of a specific law that says that they should make recordings, if some are made, then they have an obligation to pass them on to me if I'm involved in a case. Now, their argument, Dwayne, is this. They are saying no, because those videos and audios are prepared in the course of performing a judicial function, and the judicial function is exempted under the Freedom of Information law, that you can't interfere with that. Now, my argument regarding that is, you can't tell me that. The reason you can't tell me that is because under Section 11 of the Constitution, I have a right to give information and to receive information. Now, the Parliament can pass a law to restrict that right, But in relation to the judiciary, that law has to restrict me only if you are trying to protect the privacy of people in legal proceedings, or you are trying to protect the dignity and the independence of the courts. So my argument is how is giving me a video recording or an audio recording of proceedings I'm involved in, how does that interfere with your independence or with the rights of any other people? So that issue we never agreed, so it is with the ombudsman by way of appeal.
Okay.
Now, the other one is, again, I have asked the judiciary, I say, look, can you give me a list, how many judges, give me information on how many judges have been complained against, and what were the results of those complaints. I've also asked a few other like supplementary questions, like was there a full investigation, or was this a summary dismissal, like where you just say, okay, there's no evidence or we don't have jurisdiction. Can you give me this information? Again, the judiciary have said we can't give you this information. But in fairness to them, they have sought, the court officer, administrator, has told me that they have asked for independent legal advice because of the importance of the issues that I have raised. So I'm hoping that they'll be able to agree, but otherwise, if they do not agree, again, we will wind up with the ombudsman. But the last point, the last one, again, still relating to the judiciary. I also asked them, the judiciary, I said, can you give me the number of lawyers who have been complained against, as well as the results of those complaints, as well as whether there was a full investigation and so on. Again, they have said, well, okay, we can't give you that information, but we can just tell you how many were complained against. I said, no, I want the whole information. I'm not asking for who was complained against. I'm just asking how many, was there an investigation, what is the result? So we have been unable to agree on all of those, and that also is with the ombudsman. So there are 2 appeals with the ombudsman, and there is one which is under review, which may well go to appeal. I think that, you see, if we can have this kind of reform in the judiciary, it will really help also the politicians to understand what's taking place, and maybe to even institute further reform. For example, if you don't know how many judges are complained against, how do you know whether there is a problem? If, for example, you've got 10 complaints against judges and they are always exonerated, 10 complaints next year they are exonerated, 10 complaints the next year, then you know there is a problem. And then maybe what you need is a legislative change. And the people who are suffering in these things, DWAYNE, the people who are suffering are the people out there. Not me. Me, I'm an attorney at law. There are some things I can fight on my own. But those people who don't have sometimes even money to be able to get a lawyer to represent them. So these are the things that we are fighting on. The complaints and the appeals are in my name, but I've got a Caymanian team which is interested in this because we want to use this as a way of driving reform towards greater justice in this aspect of the judicial system. That's my big story for today, DWAYNE. I hope I haven't stirred controversy, but I think it is something which, if some of these can be reformed, I think there will be greater transparency with the judiciary. I think there will be greater justice, and I don't think that there will be any impeding of the judicial function the way it is exercised. So that's my story.
All right. Well, if you have a few minutes, if it's okay, I would like to perhaps ask you a couple of things in relation to what you shared, if that's okay.
Well, I'll do my best. I'm happy to, yes.
Thanks, man. And looking at, just a few things, I want to make sure I have it in front of me correctly, but let me just move that aside and pay attention to when it comes to the courts and the like, there are many who would be careful and out of the respect, they don't want to speak to anything that is sub judice, they don't want to do anything that would be, cause them to be held in contempt. So do you think, from that perspective, let me ask, if a person is in open court and there's a proceeding, so they're just sitting in the, sitting there, they're not parted to any of the proceedings, not juror, not on any of the legal teams, they're just, observing what transpires in court, in open court. Can that person then go back and say to a friend over coffee, hey, in court today, let's say it's a criminal matter, defendant, is before the court charged for whatever the offense, and the witness said this and this, and give a verbal account as to what happened without any sort of fear that that person could be subjected to the court's sanction?
Well, it's a very important question, Dwayne, because it relates also to what I said earlier on. Mm-hmm. It helps me address an aspect of it that is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, first of all, there's a right of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who has a court case, whether it is criminal or civil, they've got a right under the Constitution, Section 7,
mm-hmm.
to have that legal matter determined in an open court.
Mm-hmm.
By that, as you know, and which is what you have described,
right.
that there's a court where any member of the public can walk in and out. They don't have to be family, they don't have to be anything. They can walk in and out. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because it is important for transparency in the judicial system that there are no secret trials.
Right.
Now, there are certain rules which apply. For example, like the court can say, okay, we want to protect the identity of this party, or
right.
that
Okay.
we don't want some matter of high security to be in open court. So the court has got certain limited powers to have proceedings, what they call in camera.
Mm-hmm.
By that meaning that it's you know that, but just for some of your listeners, the in camera just means that it will be done without the public being there. Okay, so it is a right both of the person who is involved in the case, but it is also a right of the member of the public to go out there and to see that justice is being done. Now, because it is an open court, and whenever there is no order preventing anything from being disclosed or preventing anybody from attending, anything that takes place in open court, you can go out there, for example, a journalist
mm-hmm.
can go out there and give a fair and accurate report of what is taking place there.
Mm-hmm.
So even if what was taking place there may be, if it was said outside, it might be defamatory or not. But if it happened in open court and any journalist goes out there and makes a fair and accurate report
mm-hmm.
of what's taking place, there's no problem there. But in the example that you give specifically, that you're having coffee with a friend in downtown,
mm-hmm.
and then you say this happened in court. Now, technically, legally speaking, there is no problem there if this is just another member of the public, because you are not publishing it to anybody, and it is not something that is likely to prejudice what is taking place in court. You can't, of course, speak to jurors. I mean, everybody knows that you can't speak to jurors because that might prejudice them. That is why very often, usually jurors are sequestrated sometimes in
mm-hmm.
cases, and even if they are not sequestrated meaning that, they are not contacting the public, but even not, they are prevented from speaking to people out there in the public. But this is a very, very important right to ensure that justice is not only done, but is manifestly seen to be done.
Mm-hmm.
That's why military type courts, they were abolished many, many years ago in most countries, although they still use them in a few countries which are still finding their way in terms of democracy.
Mm-hmm. And
I hope that is helpful.
No, it does, and I think the thing, we always want, as I was saying at the outset, let's not take for granted our safety. And any building, whether it's a government building, whether it's a courthouse or any place, we want to know that people can enter that space safely. We see the things that are happening in the world, and maybe it would be prudent to ensure, for want of a better phrase, we employ appropriate security measures just to ensure the safety of all. But
exactly. And then, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say something again, just more like in the general vein. One of the reasons why recording this kind of information is important is, of course, it helps people when they are trying to appeal to be able to go back to a verbatim record,
mm-hmm.
be able to look at the record. It's always much better than relying on what the judge writes. Now, what the judge writes is very limited.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have access to that, but only if you are a party to the proceedings.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem with that is that judges record what they want. And a lot of times you will find judges who carefully manage what they write, so that even some things that they might say, they might not write them in their notes because they could create a ground of appeal.
Right.
In Bermuda, there was a very, very interesting, but in a sense sad case of a judge who I won't call his name, although I could have, but I won't call his name. He basically denied some people who were representing themselves. He said, "Oh no, there's no recording for the proceedings, But they said, "No, this recording was made," and he refused to. He said there was no recording. It became so hot in Bermuda to a point where the judge and his registrar had to hire a lawyer who went public and to defend them, to say this recording doesn't exist. 7 years later, the Information Commissioner unearthed the recording. The recording actually existed. And by that time, these people had lost the case, and it was really such a major issue in Bermuda. They tried to have him prosecuted for perverting the course of justice. But by that time, he had become terminally ill, and nothing happened. So it is very, very important that people should have access to those records, because those records are very important to allow them to pursue and conduct their case in a manner that is in their best interest.
Okay. In the court, in addition to the judge making those careful notes, or carefully making notes, however you phrase it, is there a stenographer? Is there someone that records all that transpires? A stenographer?
Well, this is the thing. There is usually now a stenographer who does that, but again, there is no legal obligation that it should be there.
Okay.
There are people who are really trained. I remember this is back in Africa when I started going to court.
Mm-hmm.
We used to send court reporters to Guyana. You won't believe it, because Guyana had a very advanced system of stenographers or court reporters who sit down there and actually record everything verbatim. Now, I haven't been in regular court in Cayman now for a while, but I do understand that there are stenographers who are sometimes available. But what I understand is that they are not always available. And what we're trying to do is to ensure that they are always available, so that they can't tell you, like what they told me in my case, okay, in this particular case, we didn't record anything, because we've got nothing. They should always be there. The stenographers should not be optional. They should always be there, although sometimes they are there, yes.
Right. And it's not just that. I think what you're sharing is important in terms of, the more we hear and learn and talk and ask for, civic engagement and people to understand civics. I think understanding our judiciary, our justice system is important. With respect to the courts in particular, if you could help us, and I want to take another minute of your time. We have, presumably, the separation of powers, so our legislative assembly and the parliamentarians, they'll pass the law. Who would it be that would drive this sort of legislation? Is it that a law will be passed and then that becomes the law of the land, or is it for the courts to say, well, this is what we're going to do? Just for clarity, how does that work?
Yes, the ones who need to know how that works and so on, they can do my little course. When I should be coming to Cayman probably in March next year. I'm trying to work with somebody in Cayman to come and present some courses on legislative process as well as judicial review. But I'll answer your question, Dwayne. You see, the way it works is, as you know, in government, there are portfolios. There's infrastructure. If there's anything that you want to be done in the area of infrastructure, you go to the right ministry and so forth. Okay? But any member of the public can initiate reform. What we have been working on with my group is to in addition to these Freedom of Information reports, is to write to the Law Reform Commission and try to say, can you have a project on reporting of matters in the judiciary and access to information? We haven't written the letter yet, but we have strategized how we are going to do it and the elements that we want to cover. So that's one way you can do it. You just write a letter to the Law Reform Commission and say, can you make this part of your project? Now, if you just Google Law Reform Commission, the website will come up and there's an email there and you can do that. Another way, you can go to your own member of the Legislative Assembly and raise the issue. Now, the way sometimes it arises is like also the judiciary itself might initiate a proposal, and then once they initiate the proposal, they will take it to the Attorney General, and then the Attorney General will do a cabinet paper, it will go to cabinet, and then they will approve it. If it is approved, then it goes to the drafters in legal, and then they draft a piece of legislation. Sometimes the Attorney General suggests it. But in terms of members of the public, they really should try to pass it through their MLA. The MLA then may be able to bring it to the minister involved. So in the judiciary, it will be to bring it to the Attorney General. If it is one of these other areas, if it's agriculture, it will go to whoever is responsible for agriculture. In fact, it's interesting you ask this, DWAYNE, because this week I was having two conversations at separate times with two friends in Cayman. You know, with this ID law, which is the two ID laws which have come out, and this person was asking me, says, well, how long do we have to comment? Is it 21 days or 28 days? So I told the person, I said, well, it used to be 21 under the 2009 Constitution, but now since 2020, it is 28 days. And then she asked me, she said, but who do I write to? And to tell you the very truth, it's not something I had ever thought of very much, because working in government, we knew we had to meet that requirement. That's it. And so that's when I said, well, look, the best thing that you can do is speak to your MLA. And once you speak to your MLA, and then they can take it to the relevant minister, and if that minister agrees, and then they can take it to cabinet. But what it enlightened me on, despite having worked in legislation brain for such a long time, is one, we say the consultation period is 28 days, but we don't tell people where they should write. When they do law reform reports, like when they do a project, like if they do a law reform project and they put out a bill for consultation, they can decide whether to make it 3 months or 4 months and so on, and they give you an email address for you to go back to the commission. But most of the laws actually don't go through the commission. Most of the laws are passed in the more general way, where, you know, somebody makes a proposal and then it is published as a bill, and then the 28 days is a period of consultation. Another thing that today that came up with another person I was discussing it, they said 28 days is not enough for certain important bills, like the bills relating to these IDs. Unless you've got some background understanding, which some people understand, as to how it works at a technical level, you can't really make very good comments. You need to understand that. So that I don't think that 28 days for some bills, certainly some bills, is long enough for people to be able to do that. I think one of the things which Cayman needs to look at is to look at developing the committee system in Parliament. As you know, in the U.S., they've got a big committee system, you know, like budget, legislation committee, all kinds of committees. I think it is important for bills such as, for example, the ones about IDs, because it's so important, to be able to take it to a parliamentary committee, and then the committee can conduct a few meetings, maybe for a week, and then people can go there and make submissions. And in a small jurisdiction, that's much easier to do than in larger jurisdictions. So.
Well, I always appreciate it, and unless you wish to continue discussion respectfully, we have the news and a break, but we can talk some more. All right. Join us after the break.
Radio Cayman,
the voice,
the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom. Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. 12 young Caymanian firefighters have joined the ranks of the Cayman Islands Fire Service with oaths to save lives and protect property throughout the Cayman Islands. The new firefighters, which comprise 1 female and 11 males, were recognized in a graduation ceremony held at the Lion Center on Friday, November 11th. In international news, Nancy Pelosi, who has led Democrats in the U.S. House of Representatives for almost 2 decades, has announced she is standing down from the role. The 82-year-old is the most powerful Democrat in Congress and the first woman to serve as Speaker of the House. She will continue to represent her California district in the lower chamber of Congress. It comes as Republicans are projected to take back control of the House following the midterm elections. Alcohol will not be sold to fans at the World Cup's 8 stadiums in Qatar after FIFA changed its policy 2 days before the start of the tournament. Alcohol was set to be served in select areas within stadiums, despite its sale being strictly controlled in the Muslim country. Those in corporate areas of stadiums at the tournament will still be able to purchase alcohol. The World Cup starts on Sunday when Qatar play Ecuador. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands. Born September 25th, 1947 at Watering Place, Cayman Brac, Royce Adolphus Dilbert was the firstborn son of Hallen and Grace Dilbert, née Tibbets. Like many of the men of his time, he spent many years at sea. During his breaks from sea life, Mr. Dilbert employed his diverse skill sets. He worked at Alfred Scott's block factory as a mechanic, and his uncle Bergman Dilbert performed dynamite blasting in Cayman Brac with the late Reverend Lee King, as well as worked at MRCU in Grand Cayman. He was also an entrepreneur selling fruits, cars, and tires, and painted and repaired vehicles. His mechanical skills proved immeasurable when in 1979, working in the Campeche Bank oil field, Mexico, his ship was chartered by Halliburton to supply material to cap the exploratory well which blew out in Mexico's Bay of Campeche. In 1981, he retired from sea and took employment with the Cayman Brac Power and Light Company as chief engineer, where he remained until his retirement in December of 2018. Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
When you're craving something big, something tasty that gives you that lip-smacking satisfaction, something that hits the spot, there is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
It's pretty tasty.
Filling and full of flavor. Try our new sweet onion steak teriyaki with a twist. Or the classic chicken teriyaki. Top it with green pepper, onions, cheese, and that sweet onion teriyaki sauce, all piled on your favorite artisanal bread. Satisfy that craving with a footlong from Subway.
Fresh, delicious, tasty, meaty.
Let's make it a meal with a drink, chips, and cookies. There is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
New stock has just arrived at Super Stitch. Now don't take my word for it, drop by and see for yourself. Fresh off the boat, we have loads of fabric, vinyl upholstery fabric, fabric for cushions, outdoor fabrics, and dress fabric. That's not all. Super Stitch has sewing accessories and craft items. Included in the new shipment, you will find sheets, comforters, throw pillows, bath mats, rugs, and curtains for every room in your home. Super Stitch, 39 Pasadora Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best price in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day? Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
November 19th, Grand Cayman. There's so much more Pirates Fest energy in the air. The party continues Saturday, November 19th. The doggies get their own parade, starting at 11 a.m. Lukia at the National Museum at 1 p.m. The Children's Play Area at Kirk House from 2 p.m. The Trial of the Pirates at 5:30. Closing fireworks at 8 p.m. along with 2 street dances, one for the adults and one for the teens. And of course, the food festival goes on for 11 hours, afternoon till night. Come for lunch, party a bunch, and pirate the night away.
Can you imagine your home completely organized? At Brand Source Custom Closets, we can. We specialize in designing and building custom closets and storage units for any room in your home, including the garage. With tailored designs and custom LED lighting solutions to fit your lifestyle and budget. Our custom closets expert is committed to enhancing the value of your home with a solution that is uniquely yours. Visit our showroom or call 623-6774 to schedule a no-obligation appointment with our design expert. Brand Source Custom Closets, 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
Hello, Cayman Islands. This is Carly Davis. Come and enjoy an evening of thanksgiving and praise at Cayman Gospel Fest on Saturday, November 19th at the Lions Center. Come see Cayman's best performers and church choirs. My band and I will be there. Admission is free. See you Saturday, November 19th at the Lions Center with Cayman Gospel Fest. You cannot afford to miss it. Yes, come out and let's have fun together.
Brought to you by the Progressives, celebrating 20 years of service to the Cayman Islands.
Parma Carpet Christmas sale is back, starting Thursday, November 24th through Saturday, November 26th for a full 25 hours of savings with 25% off in stock carpet, 25% off in stock tiles, and 25% off in stock granite slabs. All orders should be collected within 25 hours or storage fees will apply. See in store for terms and conditions. Save big in Parma Carpet pre-Christmas sale from November 24th through November 26th. Located on 317 North Sound Road, Industrial Park. Open Monday to Friday, 7:30 a.m. until 5 p.m. and Saturday, 7:30 a.m. till 2 p.m. Call 949-5000.
We do a whole lot more than just cover your floor at Paramount Carpet.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for sharing with us. It is open line. We go straight to the phones. Hey, good afternoon. How are you? Welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon.
Hey, how is it going? How are you?
All right, and you?
Very thankful, you know.
All right, Mr. Sterling. I had heard the caller yesterday on the phone. After he hung up because I had to go, and I didn't get the chance to call back. But you know, it's very difficult to understand how demoralized I would say people are when it really comes to something to see like a constant, a consistent I don't know how to put this together, right? But how many people are dying from a lack of encouragement? Encouraging words, and how easy it is to, you know, provide that if you're careful. And, you know, to give credit where credit is due, and to say you are a net force for good if you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I was thinking of it like this, right? People have a generational curse some people have a generational curse, I would call it. And it haven't been broken yet, but we could address some of those generational curses, and it includes drugs, it includes gambling, alcohol, weed, abuse, poverty, fear of God, victimhood mentality. You know, what else we could put in there? Every family has it. Every family has it. But, you know, someone has to change that. And most of the families are looking for that one person. And if that's not going to be you or anybody else, it's going to be somebody. Either if it's going to take 20 years, 40 years, 60 years, 80 years. I don't know, it could go on. But someone's going to have to show up. And if you decide that it would be you, it will only just impact the, like, what you would defend, your children, your nephew, your niece, your grandparents. You know, it impacts the community, the church, everyone. All it does is just take one person to be a leader, right? All right? And, you know, the other part about that, right, is that if everybody is your friend, you're only the enemy to yourself. And what if you, like, had a camera crew behind you running around just filming and documenting your success story and just going on with it? Like, they know exactly what your aim is. They know exactly you can get it, but they just want to see what you're going to do. You're going to do everything right in order to achieve that. But then you got to saddle up with the people that are going to have the doubt. And those are the type of people that are going to be the ones that encourage you to do more, to prove them wrong.
So how do we, I mean, what do we do then? I mean, I think you're right. Having a sense of being encouraged, being in the environment of others who help you, guide you, get you to a space and a place where you understand, you know, that it's safe, that there's an expectation, but that you're supported. How do we get there?
Well, we need to first, I mean, I would love to explain it to my understanding, right? But that would be a whole complete different subject. I'll just be traced off into a different conversation. But the freedom of speech should be a discussion where we understand why do we have a reason to have a freedom of speech. You know, I'm going to put it into a question for you if you want to answer that. But I would love to explain it, but it's going to be a little bit too long. I could put it down to my understanding in a layman term. How freedom of speech should be working.
Yeah, you're welcome to if you wish. I mean, if you want to, you know, share further, you can. If not, I will share with you a message that came through just earlier, and this individual listening and is of the view, you know, that, you know, he says, the person says, male or female, says, you know, I know, you know, originally I'm not from here, but it hurts, you know, to see how some Caymanians treat each other at times.
Yeah.
And when I asked, well, what do you think that is? They say, well, that's a question that has been baffling, you know, for the past, you know, 3+ decades. Could it be the influence of outside, you know, people? Could it be for, you know, personal gain or prejudice? But is that the thing? You know, we treat each other poorly.
Yeah, I agree, because sometimes, you know, they have some people that just do not like to see you be successful because they wish it was them themselves. But then when we keep looking at others' success we should aim towards being like them instead of envying and trying to drag them back down to your level, because if you do that, then you only show that if you get up there, there's someone could drag you right back down too. That's not a great example, and I think a lot of the Cayman people need to hear this. And I don't know if a lot of people that is listening to the show, I mean, I understand that there are smart people that listen to this show. I mean, I only can think of a concerned citizen would listen to the show as well. And as well, like I am, right? I am sick and tired of being concerned. I should wake up in the morning and hear good news and say, well, 10 more people this week has been confirmed to have the assistance for housing in the Cayman Islands, at least because they were finding it difficult several years and whatnot. The impact of COVID has impacted everybody, yes, foreign countries as well, not just the Cayman Islands, but we can only take care of our own people. In my opinion, I do not think anything wrong with donations, helping out other countries, and all of these stuff, because I would do it, and I do it sometimes when I'm able to, but there is something that is missing on this island, and I think that the people is just keeping to themselves too often. I'm not okay with knowing that there's prices changing every week because everyone is okay with it. I'm not okay with it. I'm paying for it, but who is paying me at a minimum wage if that's what I'm getting? I'm not saying that's what I'm getting, but to imagine the struggle that I'm going through now with my savings because the fluctuation of Burger King rising their prices every month. They feel like we're not even realizing it because we're just consuming it. We're learned to be consumers. It's just like the cattle. You don't tell him that he cannot wake up in the morning, don't think about eating grass. You provide that for him and he's going to eat it all day. All day.
So how do we move then if I'm hearing some of what you're saying as well, that not just to consume but to produce,
Yeah, if we can all produce ideas with each other, like how we're supposed to be doing it, and working together and agreeing, there is a way to change the fluctuation of this whole entire thing that we are in a scheme between wars of different countries that we will know each other. We don't know about Ukraine and Russia or Afghanistan and Dubai and those places like that. Why are we trying to be like them? It's just like a sheep just following each other. And then at the end of the day, when they meet the end of the road, they're just going to be running down that hill. They don't know where they're going. They're just running down that hill. I'm sick and tired of hearing what, where, who, why. We all know the answer. We're just asking each other the question, and we can answer them. But why we don't work together on that answer that we just give?
So why don't we?
Have freedom of speech. If we just listening to each other and not working together, it's better to just have a world of chaos, that where people just resolving their problems together and see how we can work out. Because two men can live and argue with each other, and as long as one has common sense not to throw the first punch, another one won't do it. But if the other one does it, it's going to be chaos. But don't make that be a woman. It would be really, really bad if a woman and a man was to have an argument and that flinged off. So that's why we have our policy makers and things to settle these arguments the right way.
Right. So that last part, the call for, as I'm hearing it, the call for diplomacy, dialogue, meaningful discourse, right? You that's what you're sharing, that we need to.
Honestly speaking, I'm just talking off of common sense. I couldn't tell you that this was in a book.
And with that need for that dialogue to come to the table, let's discuss something, and then let's take action to bring about a more positive change. Are we then at risk? And I don't want to be leading you down in a path, right? I just want to invite your response.
No, I'm positive with all of my talking. Nothing's stopping me at all.
Right. If we're hearing you're saying, well, let's talk, but we also need to do something productive and positive, so that are we then sort of putting ourselves in a box? We're fencing ourselves in.
We're doubting ourselves.
Right.
Doubting ourselves. That's the biggest problem. The fear.
Fear can paralyze. Right. Can prevent you from.
That's what they want. They want that you be paralyzed in a system that where you do not know how to be independent. I'm independent for the past 12 years. I'm 29 years old now, and it can go deeper, but
right. Now, given, as you said, right, there's some of us depending on our mindset, depending on the environment. At age 15 or age 30, we're very independent. We have perhaps our own space, whether we own it or not. And then there are some of us in this day and age, because of the cost, because of the challenge to access certain resources, and they might even be available. We're not having that level of independence, physical independence, financial independence, emotional independence, and the like. Is there a marked shift in the way we are raising and rearing our children, the socializing, and the expectations?
We're separating. We're separating, sir. Through nationality, through religion, two of the main things.
Okay.
You imagine, right? You're an ambitious young man, let's just say. If you're driven towards the authority will, and that in that mindset, right? It's a station of power dynamic in men. We all have this. We produce that particular thing. We're aggressive. We colonial, right? It goes so far, right, where a normal young man could think. Like, if you want to go as far as Hitler, where the amount of things that Hitler done, you cannot separate what Hitler did from what a normal man can do. And when we feel like we're being assaulted from two directions, because we can do it the right way or we can do it the wrong way. But at the end of the day, it's a particular thing that is stopping us, and it's like being squelched into entirely causing things to manifest into this power that you imagining could be in. How are we going to escape that if we cannot grasp it? You got to really think outside the box. You got to literally be focused on one thing, to literally think like this. But the problem is, society is like a sheep, right? Like I said, Starbucks in the morning, we all got to be just like her or him. He gets Starbucks in the morning, and then we got to sit down and talk with that person. I won't be just like him. Yeah, be following each other footsteps, which is not a big problem. But when we forget what we want and what we have to do it, it's a full-time job to attend yourself before you can attend to others. So if I don't eat tonight because I'm worried about that person or that thing, and then tomorrow morning I just don't live because I starved last night, who is caring for me? I got to care for myself before I can care for others, right?
You have to have self-love, self-care.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's really hard when you have like two forces working against you. And if we all could just live like normal people, we don't live like how these people with, You know they do this cryptocurrencies and they have their life so easy. I want to be just like them. You try it and bam, you forgot that was your last penny that you put inside of there if it didn't work. You don't even have a gateway out. You have to start right back down to the bottom, and there's going to be a constant ladder that you're going to be doing like an escalator. Because, look for our skills. They want to be that one drug dealer that got all that money. They want to be that one gangster that could have nobody mess around with him. They want to be that high-end officer because he getting paid. Or, like, why don't try to be your own success?
Why do you think people struggle with that? That's identity, the self-confidence.
It's what we are taught, sir. It's what we are taught. We are taught not to share our answers. We are taught not to share our questions. We are taught that we have to keep our mouth shut because in class we have to study. We have to listen to the teachers. The biggest crime I find, second to insurance, is schools to tell you what you should be when you get older, when you grow up. Instead of them teaching you how to make money, to be successful. You can save the world with money. Who said you can't buy happiness with money? Some of the happiest people in the world that I know of are the richest, but they all share one thing in common. They work together.
Let me ask, right? I mean, there are two things that immediately jump out at your last comments. One, we are taught now that may be in our schools as well as in our homes, and the way, as I just generally refer to, the way we're socialized. And so by inference, you're sharing that independent thinker, that child, for instance, at home or in the classroom, who has a question, who wishes to,
Sometimes their answers don't matter because it's not right. But not every answer is right.
Now, one of our listeners... Sorry. Someone sharing in relation to what you're saying, no matter our wealth, but money can't buy happiness, right? So, are you then, from what you're sharing then, how do we get to that space where we have that level of independence of thought, that resolve within us to stand in the gap? I would think, to what you just shared, we are taught, you said. So I would think that child, whether with the parent or guardian or with the teacher, will be subdued, perhaps dismissed, perhaps chastised if the child, we use the word like, it's a bit precocious. So how do we make that not be an issue?
Well, to answer that, I wouldn't know where to start on that question, because right when I was in school, personally talking, I was always looked at like, yeah, that's Alejandro, or I could say it out because I know there have people that probably wondering who this is, but a voice that I have is not very hard to miss. You know who I am. And the thing is about it, right? When I used to go to school, there was always that thing about me because I was a foster child. My mom had a mental disorder, so they looked at me like, you don't have a mother. That's how the children were when I was in school. That's bullying now, right? Who it is I can go to talk. They have the counselor in school, but the counselor in school tells you, so you just don't listen to them. But they don't know what you have to go through. They don't know the person that you got to deal with. These people are physical. Now, I used to be a person that used to fight almost every week in school, get suspensions. But I wasn't that type of person to bang on anybody, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I am a person that don't take crap.
A lot of us like that, you know. Just a matter how we respond to it, right? So you responded as you saw it, yeah? Okay.
Physically, as a child, the most dangerous person you could think of as adolescent. Because they throw their tantrums. And you can't tell them that they're wrong for throwing their tantrums. If that's their feeling and their expression, they're going to scream to the top of their lungs, and they can sometimes even hold their breath to extraordinary lengths and suffocate themselves.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to control somebody that doesn't know any better.
Yeah. You had, I believe, sent your number through yesterday. All right, I just want to make sure that.
Yeah, I sent my number, yeah.
Okay. Is it okay if I reach out as expected and share something with you?
Yes, sir.
That'll be fine.
Always to WhatsApp me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll do that momentarily, and then we can see. I know we have the break, and I'm very grateful that our program is attractive to our listeners and to our advertisers. Is there more you want to share, or we want to pick up again another time when you're ready?
I would like to do that tomorrow, you know, with the whole sense of freedom of speech. The whole sense of it. I would like to describe that, you know, like, because I feel like the understanding of freedom of speech that we have is just only the one side part of the page that we have to flip over and read the other side, you know, like when you find it.
Yeah. Well, let me.
Lawyer, right? But I like to do my research.
Yeah. Let me.
You're a lawyer.
Can I ask you one last guy? And I really apologize to the break being evident. But one question to you: when, as you referenced in school, you try to get attention of people, you speak to the counselors and the like, and sometimes they don't hear you, they're dismissive, they don't quite relate. Any insight into how we can get a better communication, have better dialogue, so that adults in particular can hear the pleas, the cry, the thing that's coming from the youth? How do we get their attention so that we can get them to be more helpful?
Observe the children. Just observe them, watch them. I remember when I was in school, Miss EBANKS. She was I would call it the head of year. I don't remember if it was like that or not, but it was like 10 years, 12 years ago. She caught me with what was my ex-girlfriend back then, right? And she caught me hugging her in the school, and that was a big thing for her because she's a Christian now, right? That was like, to me, first-degree murder, or not, But the thing is about it, the observation that she made, and she made sure that she sit down and talk with us. And she tell us, at that moment, it was like God was talking to her and say that it was enough because the fire alarm went off. Because sometimes it's like when the Christians talk, I don't have nothing to disrespect about Christians. I love my Christians. If it wasn't for them, Sunday school really grew me up to learn manners and all this type of stuff. But sometimes when we take too much of an extreme of things that is uncomfortable to talk about is where the problem is, sir. The fear of what could possibly happen is what is the problem now. If we didn't take that first step to say, let's go to the moon in 1969, where would we know that if the world was even round? It takes that one person, like I said, it goes right back to that, to just give the freedom of confidence to people that they all have a purpose in life. Everybody have a purpose in life. Even if it was the simplest bum, he wouldn't be there to encourage others to be better than they are now. So don't want to get to that person's position. And help that person when you get there. Because if it wasn't for him standing up there, getting to your attention at least, or trying to, they wouldn't be where you are.
Right. Well, listen, you always, if you are able to, more than welcome and invited to give us a shout and share, right? You always make some very good points, and I hope that...
Sir, I'm not the most smartest person, like I tell you, but I have common sense. I've seen it. You have to experience to feel pain, to feel love. Before you feel love, you have to feel pain, right? Nobody goes through the pain that you go through.
All right. I'm going to send you back a message just to make sure that confirming the right number, and then I pass it along to you. All right?
Sure.
All right. Hey, thank you very much for taking time to talk. Hopefully, we can make something happen positive. All right? With that, let's just pause quickly, take a short break, and invite you to share your thought with us. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
This Friday, November the 18th, the Pirates festivities continue with the turtle release at Governor's Beach at 10 a.m. and the Pirates Fest 5K run walk from Seafarers starting at 5:30 p.m. As part of the Heritage Day series brought to you by the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture, and Heritage. Take in the Georgetown from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. on Cardinal Avenue. Celebrate your Georgetown heritage, local food, performances, and more. Friday, November the 18th from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. on Cardinal Avenue.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Town. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Health Services Authority is now offering online payment options for patients. Patients of HSA can now pay their bills, including deposits, towards scheduled services online at payments.hsa.ky. The secure, new online payment system accepts debit or credit cards and is in addition to the available payment options of cash, check, and online bank transfer. For quick, easy, and secure payment directly from your phone or computer, visit HSA's new online payment system at payments.hsa.ky.
J&M Money touching down again. Now you can send your US dollars at any location on island, including the BRAC. It's easy. Just walk with your US dollars. No need to convert to CI. This is another convenient service available at J&M Money. They always find a way to make it easier and hassle-free. So remember, when you need to send your money and you only have US dollars, don't ever think of what to do. Just head straight to any J&M Money location and send your money the fast, convenient, and affordable. J&M Money. J&M Money. Touching down again. J&M Money. Ranga to la friend.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it.
So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
New stock has just arrived at Super Stitch. Now don't take my word for it, drop by and see for yourself. Fresh off the boat, we have loads of fabric, vinyl upholstery fabric, fabric for cushions, outdoor fabrics, and dress fabric. That's not all. Super Stitch has sewing accessories and craft items. Included in the new shipment, you will find sheets, comforters, throw pillows, bath mats, rugs, and curtains for every room in your home. Super Stitch, 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best price in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for calling. And we do have a couple of calls. Let's go back to the phones. Welcome. Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, Sterling.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you today?
Doing good here on the Bragg, my friend. Doing good. How are you?
Man, I am very, very thankful, man. Giving thanks.
Don't mention the turtle meat, though. Don't talk about the turtle meat.
Why, if God spare life, maybe I should just be willing to yield to temptation and head down to sea and pick up a little nibble.
I tell you, him and nephew on it just know about turtle meat and beef and things. He go and get, but anyway, I hear on the back I can't get none of that. But anyway, I just want to comment on that young man. Sterling, I feel so touched by listening to him.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear how much he holding back his tears. The thing, I came from that same situation as a young man, trying to get a job, and a lot of the times people don't hire you because of who you are or who you're related to, and this kind of rubbish in your background. There's no help for the young people in this Cayman Islands. I don't care which representative of which government department come on and talk about there's help. There's absolutely no help. They form a system in this government, and time after time you hear them in the LA meetings talking about putting the Caymanians first. He mentioned yesterday, I wanted to talk yesterday and I couldn't get through. He mentioned yesterday about joining the fire department, and he was turned down. That young man is a Caymanian. When Kirkland Nixon was the chief of that fire department, Mr. Nixon kept one thing in line, and that was to hire Caymanians only in that system. When the man got to the retirement point and he couldn't go no further, slowly they introduced different nationalities in the system. I am not discriminating anyone, but if government does not stand up and put these jobs that Caymanians get it first and put it out to area business, whether at Burger King, Lobster Pot, it doesn't matter where it is. If they don't implement something in this Cayman Islands, it's going to be more young people crying or more young people taking their lives because they feel like they're not a part of this system or the whole output of a Caymanian. We are being neglected in every form and fashion that we can think about, and all you can hear them about, they're doing. They're not helping, because that young man on there talking from yesterday, he voiced his opinion of concern that he is a one person trying to struggle in life to get something for himself. And you don't even find one government representative of who they put up inside our parliament to pick up a phone and call and say that young man can call them when he finished talking. That is the kind of representatives we have in this country, Sterling. We have, my father said, we have nothing in this country but cowards. Cowards, he called them, because you know why? He said time and time again, when they get up in the office, they put down their promises, which is only a comfort to a fool's heart. And when they get home, they smile and make their big salary on their big salary coming up November, December, and forget about us as the poor young people of this Cayman Islands. I came out of that same situation that he in. I had to bounce back from job to job. If it wasn't one individual on this island as a contractor that hire me and make a young man out of me, I would have been struggling still. And when I joined the fire department in 1990, that is when I realized the seriousness of where the Cayman Islands was falling, and there was no help because there was only one man standing up for the Cayman Islands at the time to hire Caymanians, and I just call his name Kirkland Nixon. We don't have them kind of people no more, Sterling. My father say we have cowards. That's basically what I'm saying, because we don't have no one right now to call that a young man. Besides, you just got his number and call and say, here's my number, I got to help you try to get something. Where it doesn't matter, put him on a little job if I can make his $200-$300 a month. It doesn't a week. He doesn't have to be jump up in no big system making $4,000 or $5,000 a month. But put help out there to that young man. It's sad, Sterling. Some years ago or some months ago, I called you and I said, Caymanians, it is sad to hear Caymanians crying in their own country. Sterling, that's the start. That young man is the start. It's not finished yet. It is not finished yet because we do not have the people to help in this Cayman Islands, and they're going to sit down there and make their big salary and smile and grin up when the next election come and expect the people must be put back some family member of theirs right in the back seat so they can still keep the big money in their family. It's high time that the people of this Cayman Islands start looking up in a situation what this young man going through.
It's as I listen to you, I recognize, how much need there is and how much willing, on our part to help. But many of us close our ears and eyes,
Yeah.
So it aches sometimes for the country, but we need to work together, man.
Yes, man. Yes, this country got to get back to Cayman. Cayman need to get back to Cayman. We are, just because of popularity, we are losing our vision, Sterling. We are losing our vision. The world was looking at us. Why are we looking after the world? We need to look after our own. Then we can focus on something else. Until then, I have 4 of my own, Sterling, and I have one, like I said, that's graduated from school. I got put a lot of emphasis in her and focus on her because what I am seeing right now, the government is not helping these young people coming out of schools or in a circumstance, a gully young man that just called on the radio. It's a sad situation. Sad. It is embarrassing for me to tell people, oh, this one and that one represent the Cayman Brack or Little Cayman or Grand Cayman. It's embarrassing. Because they can say, well, how come them little young people there not get no decent job? They look like they I see prisoners look better than what we have working on the streets.
Well,
here on the block.
I know we have the news break. Let's try and, the scheduled commercial break. Let's try and check to make sure. Mr. Paul, you want that in an hour? And we have another call on hold.
Go ahead, Sterling. I'll just give it. No, let's call that a chance.
All right. Thanks very much, man. And for what it's worth,
next time, buddy.
More time, buddy. All right, let's pause, take that break, take the other caller quickly. Stay tuned.
Savannah Pharmacy saved my life.
Really? Was it the medication they got you?
No, not this time. I forgot my wife's birthday. They were the perfect place for last-minute shopping.
That's one way to give yourself heart failure. Don't wait last minute for Christmas. Savannah Pharmacy is stocked up for Christmas right now. Gifts for men, women, and children. Home decor, clothes, toys for all ages, fragrances, candles, handbags, and so much more. I was there the other day, and trust me, they'll even wrap all your presents too.
Savannah Pharmacy, a lifesaver in more ways than one.
Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village provides you with more than just prescriptions. Always just around the corner with everything your family needs for this holiday season. WhatsApp your prescription refills to 929-5045.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
November 19th, Grand Cayman. There's so much more Pirates Fest energy in the air. The party continues Saturday, November 19th. The doggies get their own parade starting at 11 a.m. Lukia at the National Museum at 1 p.m. The children's play area at Kirk House from 2 p.m. The trial of the Pirates at 5:30. Closing fireworks at 8 p.m. along with 2 street dances. One for the adults and one for the teens. And of course, the food festival goes on for 11 hours. Afternoon till night. Come for lunch, party a bunch, and pirate the night away.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vamp Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vamp Motors, Walkers Road.
The 6:30 p.m. weather report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by CG Britcay. Insurance, health, pensions, life, where people come first.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne EBANKS.
Hello, welcome back. Thank you very much for joining us. It is open line and we have a couple of callers, but as I was going into the break, sharing with you that there was another caller online and also a message that came in and wanted to share it, as I said, to the fellow who was exiting. And the caller, the message reads, and I agree with that young man speaking out. I wonder if our representatives are listening, Say it's so sad. And we have to wonder. Well, let's take this call. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hey, how are you?
Not too bad, man. I'm just taking in the show today, and very refreshing to hear at least some of our younger people are starting to speak out publicly.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that that's that young man's first time. I'm just simply saying
right.
You're going to hear them more frequently now.
Yep.
And certainly that's very encouraging because, it's easy for us to sit silent and say nothing, and things continue to compile and become issues.
Mm-hmm.
But what I heard him talk about, and even the last caller made a lot of very salient points and things that are actually happening within our society. Sterling, you've heard me say many, many times that we don't need job creation, we need job security.
Mm-hmm.
We got 35,000 work permits, so clearly we got enough jobs.
And we need accessibility for people to understand that the jobs are there.
Well, the thing is that we've allowed the job marketplace, which means the institutions who have the jobs,
mm-hmm.
we allow them to hire who they want and tailor make these jobs for who they want,
mm-hmm.
right? And that's just been the failure and the breakdown within the system. And then we have these owners who convince politicians that, I got to have this type of person, or I need this person from that experience, and not willing to do hands-on training on the job, and that has to stop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not telling you that a company shouldn't be allowed every opportunity to be the best they can as a company. We understand that they need to benefit and profit and all these things.
Right.
However, it has to go hand in hand with the labor force. We can't sacrifice one thing for the next.
Yeah.
So if we telling ourselves, Sterling, that we have an immaculate system for people to come to Cayman, get a work permit, work, and be able to provide a living for themselves and their families back home. If we have a system that allows that to happen, then why in the world we don't have a system that ensures that Caymanians can participate on the same level, where they can work in an institution or in an environment or a job that they can provide a roof over their head for their children themselves, or even if they're single or don't have children, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
How is it that we put so much emphasis on the systems that are external for the benefit of Caymanians as opposed for having something in-house on existing that we can hold on to and look forward to. It is quite unimaginable that we still in 2022 having a conversation where, and I can tell you, that man that spoke earlier, he hit the nail on the head. You not heard nothing yet. Because we had a generation of thinkers and ideologists. Now we're going to get a generation of doers. People who are willing to put in the work. People who are willing to make the change. The paradigm shift already happened mentally. Now it's time to put it in place physically. And I think that's what a lot of people have missed the boat on. So when we look at how the system is designed, imagine we have a very complex PR system that allows people to get permanent residency and work here, right? That's a very complex system, and they can apply and they can get it if they get the right amount of points. Mm-hmm. So where is this immaculate system that's supposed to be designed to look after the Caymanian people and ensure that they can participate on every level and at all times once they have the ambition, the foresight, and the creativity and the skill set to do so? Mm-hmm. Because I can tell you, I know a couple of people who have CPAs and legal and law degrees who not working at the top of their level, where they should be even at the entry level, only because the system has been allowed to regulate itself, design however they want to fix the criteria for a person to apply for a job, and they get away with it. And then again, we have our government's dependency on the work permit dollars. Mm-hmm. Creates a huge problem in our country. But I only going to be short and sweet. I have to agree with the last two callers. They both hit the nail on the head. And the one thing I want to just point out, especially when it comes to consideration of the Caymanian labor force in all sectors, it has to be prioritized. It can't be something that left for discretion in the workplace. We need to ensure that there is succession planning for the Caymanian harvest of people with whatever skill sets they have to be properly integrated into the labor force. End of story. And no apologies. That's how it needs to be done. But anyway, I'll listen in because I want to hear everybody else who's coming on. It seems to be a great list of callers today. Thank you again for the show, Sterling, and I'll listen in.
Yeah, and thank you for adding to that list as well. And we do have callers. We have the news, my friend. You tell me which direction we're going. To the phones? Or to the break? What are we doing? All right. See that? You listen. Usually if it's a woman telling you where to go, you don't get lost as quickly. But, that's another story. All right, let's pause. Let's take the news and let's take our calls right after that. Stay tuned.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Ministry of Planning, Agriculture, Housing and Infrastructure announces that the National Community Enhancement Project will take place from November 28th to December 16th. The Nice Winter Project will provide a stipend to unemployed Caymanians and spouses of Caymanians ages 18 and over who volunteer in a number of areas, including the beautification and maintenance of roadside parks, cemeteries and beaches. In international news, Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes was found guilty of defrauding investors 10 months ago. Her company was once valued at $9 billion. Holmes claimed the startup could diagnose hundreds of diseases with just a few drops of blood. That was not true. In January, a jury concluded she had deliberately misled investors. She was convicted of 4 counts of wire fraud with a maximum sentence of 20 years. Her legal team is arguing for 18 months of house arrest. The prosecution wants her to serve 15 years in prison and to pay back the best part of $1 billion to investors. More than 1 million bottles of children's pain medication will hit shelves in Canada next week, federal health officials have announced. The news will bring relief to Canadian parents who for months have grappled with a shortage of children's medicine. The nationwide scarcity has collided with an unusual spike of viruses. The incoming supply will be given to hospitals, pharmacies, and retailers. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for sharing with us. It is open line, and if you haven't as yet, hopefully you'll get a chance to go into town and be part of the Georgetown District Day. The food is good, I'm hearing. Isn't it, Miss Anita? I don't see my plate. Stew conch, turtle. Come on, Miss Anita. Make it happen for us. 8949-837, 1-800-534-8255. Maybe Lean Auntie and Baker and the rest of them, might just go down and rustle up for us. But no, seriously, man, be a part of the festivities. Enjoy the wonderful tasting, the delicious, delectable delights that is the culinary creations of the Cayman cuisine, and be a part of it, man. Have some fun. Feel the breeze from the waterfront. See the people and enjoy as you interact. I say that to try to lift the spirits because I think there's much that weighs heavy on our heart. We are here, heavy is the head that hangs the crown. But honestly speaking, sometimes as the message that came in and saying, are people listening? Do we hear the cries and the pleas, the plights of many of us? Are we really listening? And when we listen to understand, or are we listening to respond? And when we do, are we taking on board what is shared with a view to positively helping others? It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter your age or stage in life. You can always benefit from good counsel and a helping hand. Look at it this way. We always talk about the young person needing a mentor. Are we that mentor? Are we providing that safe, secure, nurturing environment? And then a young executive could benefit from a wiser counsel to navigate what lies before. As they gain experience in the practice, they'll find that they become more proficient if you're willing to listen to the guidance and instruction, but also if someone's willing to offer it as well. Well, your perspective, 949-837, 1-800-534-8255. I made a few notes, with the callers and perhaps as I referenced them. Remind ourselves that someone messaging and had shared while one caller was talking about our people and employment for a decade plus now. I'm saying, as we talk to our young people, they're talking about where's their future, to buy an own land, to be able to find employment, and they're going to leave. Now, many places have coined that as a brain drain. It's been a decade that I've mentioned it publicly. Some have chastised me for it, or you're being political, or you're being inflammatory. No, I'm just speaking what is very evident. Let's go to the phones. Welcome, good afternoon. Thank you for calling.
Hello.
How are you today?
Fine, thank you.
Thank you so much for calling.
Sure. I just want to congratulate the workers there at the turtle farm. I went there Saturday with my family.
Mm-hmm.
They were visiting, and for a long time, for years, I have not gone there, honestly. And I was trained in customer service, and I was trained doing the pride training.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got to the door, everyone stand to our attention. They was ready to serve, and I do admire it. I met up on Mr. Peter Milburn, and it was just great.
Yep.
It was great from entering the turtle farm, all the activity that we do, every stuff. The restaurant was great. And for a long time, this is my first time going into an establishment that customer service was at its top level. And I said, I do not call it a talk show, but honestly, I want to call and congratulate all the staff at the turtle farm.
Well, thank you for recognizing something positive and being so encouraging in public and sharing that. Thank you for that.
Sure, thank you.
All right, have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
All right, let's take some more calls. Welcome, good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Hello, good afternoon.
Hey, Mr. Sterling, it's Johan. How's it going?
Mr. Was it Renard Johan Moxham?
That's the guy.
Boy, if only you could play football like your daddy. But then you would be almost good as Pelé if you did.
In my mind, I think I was as good, but physically, no chance.
Okay.
Anyway, always enjoy. Was driving out to lunch and I heard some of the callers. Great perspectives, lots of engagement, and you're to be congratulated for stimulating such open debate on public radio. So well done to you.
Thank you, sir.
I think there's a degree of balance that needs to be brought to the conversation. My personal belief is every Caymanian that wants to work, has the aptitude, the work ethic, the attitude, and understands, the hierarchy of this thing, we should always have a Caymanian first policy because there's not that many of us in this country. However, the reality is this. Being that we are effectively the minority, multi-generational Caymanians are the minority in the country, right? We have made it too easy for people to get PR and for people to get status, right? There is now a lot of fragmentation whereby those, and not everybody, but there are quite a few who have been blessed and honored to become Caymanian via PR and via status, who don't necessarily share a vision of integration, engagement, and mutual respect for what they found here. That's commonplace if you go to the grocery store, if you go to the workplace, if you go to school, if you go anywhere. That is what we're doing. So we as Caymanians have who set the rules, because only Caymanians sit on the boards, only Caymanians are elected, only Caymanians really craft the legislation to determine what the future should look like. We have to hold our hands up and go, we have failed this generation and future generations by making it so easy for everyone else to come in and to effectively determine the outcome of a lot of things. Case in point, if you give me an opportunity to own a business and I'm whoever I am, people not from Cayman are going to always feel comfortable in having their own be around them, surrounded by. That's just the reality of it, right? What we as a people need to understand is formal qualifications are a stepping stone. In this day and age of a global competitive environment, sadly, being Caymanian isn't enough because there are several criteria that most businesses, especially in financial services, I use that as an example because that's where I work, where you have to have something in writing on paper that says you have the aptitude and you've demonstrated the ability to achieve, X, Y, and Z level of results that then gives the confidence to the employer to say, hey, Sterling has it, Johan has it, Mary Jean has it, Susan has it, so on and so forth. So we are lying to our people to say that being Caymanian isn't enough, especially when the workplace and most of the businesses aren't necessarily owned or directed by multi-generational Caymanians, because every multi-generational Caymanian that understands what life was like and who really is patriotic tries their best to hire the next generation of Caymanians to continue that in the workplace. But unfortunately, we need to be honest with ourselves and understand the product that is being produced, and it's a combination of education, it's a combination of family issues, it's a combination of attitude, it's a combination of willingness to learn and demonstrate that you can fit into the culture. We have to be honest with our people and say, hey, here's a checklist of the things that you must possess in order to be given an opportunity, because the way the world is developed, but more importantly, the way that Cayman is right now in 2022, being Caymanian isn't enough. Now, anybody can jump in and say, we got to give Caymanians a chance. I agree with that 100%. But if you are a business owner and you are basically looking at numbers and targets and needing in a super competitive environment and of whatever discipline you're in, you're not going to be so patriotic or those that call the shots as new Caymanians, and many of them aren't prepared to take a chance because they have determined, rightly or wrongly, that we don't have that work ethic en masse. We don't have the aptitude, and we don't understand the workplace culture because everybody references the bad examples, and then they use a blanket sort of cover to say that's what Caymanians are. Now, that is a convenience, but it is also the reality, because here's the thing. If you are from abroad, if you're a new Caymanian, and you have a bad experience with a multi-generational Caymanian, it is quite easy to label the vast majority of, the problem with Caymanians is, and then they just basically...
We generalize.
They generalize all across the board. In the same way that we go, that guy from Canada, that guy from South Africa, that guy from England, boy, they don't know good, and we generalize in the same way. And until we start understanding that we have an obligation to each other, because it is too easy and there's too few of us to effectively to be given the opportunity. But we also have to accept this: those persons that we allow to become Caymanian, and again, it's too easy to do so, some of them never had the intention of integrating, employing, training, developing Caymanians. That is the reality.
Yeah, there are a couple of there are a couple of listeners who have gladly been very interactive and engaged. I just wanted to maybe interject. Someone's asking, are we generalizing or stereotyping?
But I think the conversation is very general. So
no, I mean about people and stuff. When we talk about this one, that one.
Yeah, it's a very general conversation like that. That should be obvious to the listener, because we aren't talking about any named person specifically.
Right.
So it's safer to speak in general terms as opposed to be specific, because that would get you in trouble, and that would get me in trouble as a caller or any other caller. So that's a pretty stupid question from the person. To be honest with you, of course we're talking in in very general terms.
I misrepresented. I think what the listener is asking, when we castigate people but paint everybody with the same brush, are we being sort of just doing that, or are we being stereotypical?
Well,
stereotyping them.
I am merely expressing what I found to be a common occurrence amongst locals and expatriates. It's quite amazing where, the reason why I say it's too easy to get status is because once somebody gets status, really and truly, they're not really afraid of offending you anymore, But before they get status, they're a bit more mindful of how they speak, what they say, like they're aware of their surroundings. But the golden ticket, and let me say this, every person that has received PR and Caymanian status, that's the equivalent of winning the lottery, okay? Because nobody that comes and arrives in Cayman ever has any intention of going home. They will all do whatever it takes, join the church, do this, whatever it takes to stay here, because this is like the most incredible place in the world, where you can come from the most humble of beginnings or nothing, land in Cayman, and you make the right connections, you become mega if you understand and you connect yourself to the right people. So that we've seen multiple examples of that. But I was calling in on the general point of every Caymanian has the opportunity to do well. Every Caymanian has the opportunity to get a solid educational base. But let's say you aren't academically inclined. You still have the ability to succeed by virtue of your work ethic and your attitude. And there are many disciplines where people will take a chance and give you an opportunity to prove whether you have the aptitude, the work ethic, the attitude and understanding of the workplace environment. But it is up to us to grasp the opportunity, but also understand this is not 1985, this is not 1975. We are being inundated with people that come here and see Cayman as the land of milk and honey, and their friends are basically helping them get the hookup, to get the job, to get the opportunity, to maximize the opportunity to stay in Cayman and become Caymanians. That is something that they do. How many Caymanians actually do the same for their own? Not that many. Because if we're honest with each other, the one thing Caymanian people do better than anybody else, we hate other Caymanians succeeding. Okay? If Sterling gets a good job, well, how Sterling got that job? Well, Sterling, I remember when Sterling was 12 years old, and they think of every reason why Sterling was never deserving of the opportunity, instead of people evolve, people grow, and what you were at 12 isn't what you are at 22, isn't what you are at 42. But we hate on each other hard, and that's why people come here and they eat our lunch. So until we have a come to Jesus moment where we individually look in the mirror and say, yo, I want this for me and I want this for mine, and I'm going to play by the rules in order to maximize and grasp that opportunity, they're going to always come up with a reason to not give you a chance. But every Caymanian can get a chance if you just understand the rules of engagement until you are in a position to make the rules for yourself. Because there are very few people that are prepared to take on a maverick, a rebel, a smart ass, for the want of a better word, because they don't want you potentially negatively impacting their environment, but more importantly, their success and profitability. And if we continue to just beat our chest and go, I'm Caymanian, I should, that's not the Cayman that is developed now, because we have made it too easy for new people to determine what they want, instead of Caymanians holding a prominent place in society and determining things. Like, I'll just say this. The only power we have left in Cayman is political power. Economic power is not for the multi-generational Caymanian en masse. The last vestige of control and power that we have is political power. Yet even that is being eroded with suggestions that persons resident in the island should be eligible to run and vote and so on and so forth. Now, that's another discussion, but until we can have a holistic conversation about the things that we can control whether we show up to work. We can control whether we show up on time. We can control the amount of effort that we put in to being at work. We can control our level of professionalism and demonstrate that we're giving our best. Will people have off days? Everybody does. But Caymanians are always held to a different standard, because really and truly, there are more people here that tolerate us than there are people that engage and enjoy and respect us. And they don't respect us because they always use the 4 or 5 bad examples to generalize as to what we are as a people. In the same way that most Caymanians generalize about Jamaica, about Jamaicans. We generalize about Filipinos. We generalize about everybody. And there's no different from the employer or the manager or the HR manager who comes from somewhere else and always wants to help their own first. We would be a lot better as a country if we were to borrow a page out of their book and say, yo, instead of hating on my own, I could try to help my own. But before somebody can help you, you have to be willing to help yourself by understanding the rules of engagement and the game within the game. And that's something that we've lost because being Caymanian in 2022 isn't enough. That's just the reality for us. So I just wanted to add that to the discussion, which I thought was first class. And again, I congratulate you for the way that you present things and you drive public debate. It's truly a skill that you have. But I'll leave it there. And again, it isn't intended to offend anybody. It's just the perspective of this is the game that we're playing. But too few of us have been educated about the game. So we still think that it's as simple as, you know, I can call up Sterling and go, hey, Sterling, it's Johan here. I need you to give my boy a job because, you know, you owe me a favor and so on and so forth. Those instances might still happen today, but they are few and far between compared to how it was in years gone by, because the shot callers and the decision makers don't have a clue who I am, don't have a clue who you are, unless they see value in you and need something from you. Then they might be able to help you along the way. But that kinship of Caymanians first and Caymanians looking out for Caymanians, that isn't there en masse in the way that it was. So we need to understand, get educated, get whatever certifications you can, show up with the right attitude, be hungry to learn, be hungry to demonstrate that you have the aptitude, put in your shift, work extra hard, because Caymanians are held at a different standard in comparison to everybody else. Until we do that, nothing will change, and nobody's going to really care about the sob story. You know why? It's probably cheaper to hire somebody on a work permit that you can control and just grind down than it is to take a chance on a Caymanian that you're not really sure about. And again, the proof is in the pudding. There are about 24,000 work permits in Cayman. 25,000 work permits. So if you follow the statistics based on what I've said, you'll see there's a reason why that happens. We just need to understand the rules, the game, and play the game, but also show up and represent the best version of ourselves, the Caymanian people. Yeah?
Yeah, man. A lot of questions I could ask you, especially the engagement from many of our listeners. You know, how do we change it? What do we do? But I'm sure we'll have you on again one day. We can get into it.
Well, I've tried to share what I think is part of it, and hopefully people. I'm no expert at anything, but I can tell you, in my experience, being bright isn't enough. There are a lot of bright people that have poor attitudes, and they'll find a reason to go, yeah, like Sterling, but is he a team player?
You see, something to consider, and you maybe leave us with one thing in that we'll lose economic control. Maybe the last bastion is the political realm, but are we fast losing that too? Who knows, right? Mr. Johan, thank you for your time, sir.
All right, brother. Take care.
Blessings, brother. I want to take all the calls, but we got to take one break. If you are patient with us, we'll join you right after. Stay tuned.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Water Authority Cayman wishes to advise its customers and the motoring public of wastewater infrastructure upgrade works along West Bay Road adjacent to Governor's Square. Preliminary activities will take place today, Friday, 18th November, with the main works beginning on Monday, 21st November. These works are anticipated to last 2 weeks. During this time, access to the southbound lane along West Bay Road will be somewhat but not entirely restricted. Traffic signs will be in place in the general vicinity of the works. All motorists are asked to drive with caution to ensure their own safety as well as the safety of the Water Authority staff. The Water Authority appreciates the patience and understanding of its customers and the public as it upgrades its wastewater infrastructure and apologizes for any inconvenience caused.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ahoy, mateys! Enjoy a jolly day out with the whole family at Cayman Turtle Center's Pirates Fest Family Fun Day on Sunday the 20th of November. Explore the wildlife, ride the water slide, splash in the lagoon, hunt for treasure and enjoy activities for the whole family. The fun takes place from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Costumes are encouraged and kids 12 and under in costume get free admission. Don't miss all the pirate festivities at Cayman Turtle Center on Sunday, November 20th. Harg.
This Friday, November 18th, The Pirates festivities continue with the turtle release at Governor's Beach at 10 a.m. and the Pirates Fest 5K run walk from Seafarers starting at 5:30 p.m. As part of the Heritage Day series brought to you by the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage. Take in the Georgetown from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. on Cardinal Avenue. Celebrate your Georgetown heritage, local food, performances and more. Friday, November the 18th from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. on Cardinal Avenue.
It's November, and November is Gimme Story. The Cayman National Cultural Foundation presents in your district Gimme Story. 6 evenings of free entertainment for the entire family. November 25th through December 2nd, featuring the best of Cayman's homegrown storytellers. For more details, visit artscayman.org or check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Cayman Culture. Remember, vote best fried fish in each district. Did I mention you get in for free? And we're starting on time. So try so hurry up, gimme story. This gonna be good.
Attention farmers, in the event of a storm, the DOA reminds you to take precautions with identifying and safeguarding livestock. Cattle and horses should be loose in pastures that are not prone to flooding. Other domestic livestock, such as pigs, goats, and chickens, should be kept safe in their pens and cages above flood level. Livestock aged 2 months or less should be secured with their mother in a pen, or kept loose with their mother in a safe and sheltered area. For livestock emergencies, call DOA Veterinary Services on 916-2218 in Grand Cayman, or 925-5765 Cayman Brac, or email ci.agriculturevs@gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And it's almost Christmas. Can you think of it in that way? Almost Christmas. And I hope and pray that for you, as challenging as it may be, that you can find it, possible to find joy and to spread that Holy Spirit to all, so that we're reminded that we live in a beautiful, blessed place. And it's going to be challenging for many of us. Very few things that you can know definitively. This is one that you can say without fear of contradiction. And I say that to share that. Listen to the callers early as we wind up our program today, understanding that our heart sometimes aches for our people, and for young people in particular. We would expect that through the provision of government services, the assistance of NGOs and charities and churches and the wider community, that we will be focusing on our youth and our elderly, but our youth. We would understand and expect that for many of us, the need to ensure that we're giving our all in all of our endeavors would be paramount, but it's not always possible. So as we go into this weekend reflecting on much that's happening, perhaps look around and ask ourselves, what is happening and how do we respond to it? We probably no longer can be proactive with many of the things, because not only has the horse bolted and the gate and the fence has been broken and long abandoned, but is it too late? And then there are other things that will take a long time to address, but they first need to be acknowledged. And when we look at our healthcare and the education systems, are there laudable accomplishments and things that we can hold our heads with pride? Or are there things that are sad and woefully been ignored? But are we standing in the gap and helping? Or are we patting ourselves on the back and falsely promoting? Well, the question is one that shouldn't go unanswered. And if there's someone who is in a program that seems to be the poster child and his face is evident, but perhaps he was before the courts once and seemed to have not acted in a sense of being contrite, but instead indignant and believes that he can continue to act with impunity. Well, if we let that be the order of the day, what then will our young people say? And to that I ask, for each of us to draw alongside and be reminded, as Mr. Art tells us, we need to be our brother's keeper. And that at times we have to very, very deliberately and directly draw alongside. It's iron sharpens iron, and as I speak to men specifically, I don't even And again, our responsibility is to not just be the protectors and providers, but understand that we partner, with our spouses to ensure that we work hand in hand to make life better, not as measured by our bank accounts, but by the safety and security, the sanity and civility that exists in our society. I love this place, and there's much that frustrates me, but there's much that brings joy. And perhaps in that frustration, if we act in concert, in a sense of love and respect, to make things better, to improve the lot that's before us, because we're working together, then we move forward. And sometimes, you don't get to enter the promised land because your time has come to an end, but you've paved the way. You're part of the cathedral builders, and let others be able to enter the sanctuary thereafter. But you got to be willing. If our parents and their parents and the parents before them weren't willing to make that sacrifice and absolute service, would we be where we are? And now when we pick up the mantle, how do we take it forward, and whom do we share? Well, have an excellent weekend if you can. Be safe, be civil, be sensible, be joyful. Joy may start come Monday morning for the record. This month is almost over, and yet many of us can't believe it has all, begun. And before you know it, we'll be ringing in the new year. Is that with a sense of joy and jubilant expectation, or a great sense of regret and remorse? Well, chances are we won't know until we do. But do we plan and prepare? And is it through prayer and petition that we, move forward? Well, have an excellent weekend. Join the wonderful, friends and family in the Georgetown district as they celebrate their Pirates Fest. Not just partake of the delicious meals, but perhaps go with your young one as you mentor her. Perhaps draw alongside of your loved ones as you're sharing the festivities. Perhaps regale in the stories of old so that you be mindful of what the future could look like if we're working with love and humility. Until Monday, my friends, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331.
Talk Today is proudly brought to you by Pirates Fest 2022. Stay in the know. Get the full event lineup at piratesfestcayman.com.
And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village. Convenient opening hours, including Sunday.